Well, Cody, Steve Sarkisian did his normal, I guess not his normal. It's just the thing that all SEC coaches do with the SEC coaches call today, along with the rest of the coaches around the conference, and had some interesting things to say, particularly as it related to the quarterback on offense, which is Arch Manning, and the quarterback on defense, which a lot of people call Michael Taft. Are they going to be able to go this week? We'll talk about it. We'll talk about the concussion protocol, where he might be in it. First, we want to thank our great sponsor, the Man Eye Institute. See life better at the Man Eye Institute. Make sure and give them a phone call today, 844-WOW-2020. If you have any questions about LASIK, they have the next level LASIK, which is something that you can only find in 2 spots across all of America. This is not your grandfather's LASIK. This is cutting edge stuff that we have available to us right here in Central Texas, whether it's, LASIK, whether it's cataracts, any of your vision needs. The Man Eye Institute is where you can go, and you can, again, reach them at 1-844-WOW-2020, 844-WOW-2020, the Man Eye Institute. See life better. They are our presenting sponsor. Also, just a quick reminder that we do still have the sale going on the Alpha Seasoning for Halloween. You can use that code SPOOKY20 at alphaseasoning.com. This is Cody and I's elite spice blend that we've worked a year to develop. That is getting it's getting. Would you say it's getting it's becoming a cult favorite, Cody?
I would say that. That checks out.
It's an unbelievable product. We're super proud of it. You can put it on any food that you want. It's great on steaks. It's great on deer. It's great on. I'm having it tonight on chicken wings. My kids are going to love it. Alphaseasoning.com is where you can go, and you can get that 20% off discount by using the code SPOOKY20. We're losing money on it, but we want to make sure that that we get as many of these in your hands as possible. Alphaseasoning.com. All right, Cody. Let's talk about it. Like I've had all kinds of stuff going on today. I've been finishing up the deep dig, so didn't get to hear Sark on the teleconference today, but did read what Jason and you and everybody have been talking about on the boards. Why don't you give the people the rundown as it relates to Michael Taft and as it relates to Arch Manning?
So the rundown basically. It caught me by the surprise. I think it caught most people by surprise. He gets about 10 minutes. Sark does during this teleconference. Every coach gets about 10 minutes. Shane Beamer, the South Carolina coach, was asked 3 total questions by the same person.
Steve Moulton, WZZ.
Steve Moulton again, and then they said, Shane, it's all right. You can head out early today because nobody else had a question for him. It doesn't quite work out that way for the head coach of Texas, Steve Sarkisian. He gets like as many questions as will get asked. Normally he long wins them, but he opened up with Kirk Bohls today, and Kirk Bohls just basically came out and said, "Hey Steve, is there any update on Michael Taft and Arch Manning?" And I just go, why are we asking this question? Like, everybody knows we're not going to get anything from here. We might get something in the Wednesday night injury report. And Sark goes, well, yeah, Taft's been practicing the last couple of days, and Arch is out at practice as well, but he's still in protocol. And I kind of I simultaneously work on multiple things at the same time, right? And it's kind of like stopped me in my tracks, and I was like, hold up, he's practicing, he's still in protocol. All right, so if we scan through the concussion safety protocol checklist, it kind of fast forwards him to around step 4 out of 6, which is non-contact practice with progressive resistance training. It's kind of the area I would say that puts him in.
Well, it could be step 3. So this is the concussion safety protocol checklist from the NCAA. So step 1 is symptom limited activities of daily living. So that's just whatever. That's just living your life or whatever. Step 2, aerobic exercise with light resistance training is tolerated, no more than mild or brief, and that is. And you can't have any exacerbation of symptoms due to that. Yep. Okay. 2A is light up to approximately 55% maximum heart rate. And then 2B is moderate up to 70% maximum heart rate. Step 3 is where I think maybe you could say he's been at practice. Step 3 is individual sport specific exercise and activity without any risk of inadvertent head impact exposure. I think that you can be out at practice and being taking part in individual sport-specific exercise and activity without any risk of inadvertent head impact exposure.
If you're wearing a helmet, you're running around, you're getting play calls into your ear, like
Right, but but we're through the stuff with the loud noises and the flashing lights and stuff like that. That's all.
but
That's all
that's any risk of inadvertent head impact exposure.
head impact.
Well, he's never going to have
I
head
see it as
impact.
being in.
Yeah.
I see that as being actual impact to the head,
Okay.
as
Okay.
opposed to impact through external stimuli. Right, loud noises,
You
flashing.
think they would have him at practice doing anything if he's not past step 3? That's kind of where my brain went. Is like you need to proceed to step 4 before you're touching the field with pads on.
Okay, so there's a step between step 3 and step 4. So you can proceed to step 4 only after resolution of signs and symptoms related to the current concussion, including with and after physical exertion. So that would mean that over the first, that would mean, so today's Wednesday. That would mean Sunday. We've already had Parker Livingstone say he didn't do anything Sunday. They just sat around and watched football during the
Which
day.
is a positive.
Okay.
Then we had the picture of Arch getting pulled over by the cop.
You could have had on Monday, you could have basically blown through. You could have you would have had to blow through all of step 2 on Monday.
Monday, you could get to step 3. It feels like
70% maximum heart rate.
I mean, think about Sunday
What,
night.
with light resistance training, I think maybe you could maybe get there.
Yeah.
And then that would mean on Tuesday when they go is Tuesday when they have the big kind of good on good team drill stuff. That would mean he could have been out there during that, but just out to the side, right?
Yep.
He could have been throwing balls on the side because he can't be out there in any kind of team drills or any kind of I don't think maybe even any position drills, because in a position drill, there could be a risk of inadvertent head impact exposure. It could be like inadvertent means anything. If somebody's running a drill and they go up to pick off a pass and you're in the drill next to them and they can hit into your head, like you're going to have to be on another field for step 3. So he would have to be on another field for step 3
on Tuesday.
On Tuesday, which means it's plausible that he's in step 4, which is a non-contact practice. He would need to move to step 5 on Thursday, which is technically possible, right? It's technically possible because Thursday is not Friday's the walkthrough. Thursday, if I'm not mistaken, is the red zone install and the install for stuff like 2-minute drill, 4-minute drill, stuff like that, right? And so if they it's like situational install. It's like at the Senior Bowl on Thursday. So if he can have unrestricted practice through that would seem to me like the easiest one to be unrestricted. That's a much easier unrestricted day of practice.
And those are going to be key situations. Like you can argue it's important for him to be there for all practices, yes, but if he's unrestricted at that practice, like those are more important than I think it would say just like your general install. Your general install for this type of a game, it feels like you've already went through enough situations during the season, Oklahoma game, Ohio State game, where it's like the game plan's probably not going to be too far off. And if he's doing the off-field stuff, like I'm talking about more from like a game perspective of like being prepared for the game, not physically practicing for the game.
Well, right. But what the NCAA says that it's typical for each step to be greater than. What does it mean if it has the greater than caret with a line underneath? Is that greater than or equal to?
I think so.
Okay, so greater than or equal to 24 hours.
Yep.
If you say so step 1, so Saturday to Sunday, step 1, Sunday to Monday, step 2, Monday to Tuesday, step 3, Wednesday to Thursday, step 4.
Thursday to Friday, step 5.
Which is step 5 is the unrestricted practice or training. So you would need to get to step 5 by Thursday.
Thursday, because then Saturday, you just get the Saturday. They go, you return to sport.
Well, right, but but they're not going to really practice Friday. They'll have a walkthrough. So like, he wouldn't have ever gotten to step. So how do we just talk about him getting to step 5?
We didn't take into account the 24 hours. We took into account that he got through step 2 on Sunday. So then, we get that right. Sunday was step 2. Monday was step 3. Tuesday was step 3. Wednesday, he checked off step 4. Thursday, he checked off step 5. Friday, checked off step 6. That's one a day. That's 6
Yeah,
days.
and
7th day is Sunday.
he would need all
Or
this
Saturday,
to
sorry.
he would need all this to happen without any recurrence of symptoms. So what we just talked through is the bull case for Arch Manning possibly being back this week. But what I do view this as is a complete bull case. I still think it's most likely that he doesn't go.
You don't think he plays?
No,
I think we take multiple things into account here.
I think it's most likely that he doesn't play.
Percentage. Give me a percentage.
I think it's 65-35
that he doesn't.
Yeah.
I think I was leaning 55-45 that he does, because we've heard like everything's been positive at this point. Again, it all is moot if he has a step back, right? If something happens, you take a step back. You hear that sometimes in the NFL, you take a step back. Like this thing has to run pure. Usually for a concussion to happen on a Saturday, you be back the next Saturday. It's the same thing in the NFL, Sunday to Sunday. So I think the NFL has one less step.
And we rarely see it in the NFL, but we did. Like I'm thinking this year, we saw Marvin Harrison Jr. do it.
Nico Collins didn't do it last week.
Yeah.
But here's my thought is multiple things. One, the Parker Livingstone note that he said on Monday during his availability, like we were just hanging out. Everything was cool. We were watching football. Like generally, if it's a severe concussion, you're not watching TV the next day. You're kind of in the dark, hanging out, not doing anything. I don't know if that picture of him getting pulled over is real or not, driving around, doing those things. Right. And then also I had this thing that I just thought of like before we came on live was like, the line for this game, which we had the same conversation, and people can think what they want about the sportsbook lines and stuff, but we had this conversation about the John Mateer thing, right? And that line and what that line was worth with what the sportsbook knew and maybe the public didn't know, whether Mateer would play or not play, yada, yada, right? And that line and the movement within that line, the Vanderbilt line against Texas was Texas minus 3.5 1 week ago. 1 week ago, and the total was 45.5. Now, again, the weekend happens. Vanderbilt beats Missouri at home. Texas just gets past Mississippi State, right? Then Arch gets hurt. That number, the total's still 45.5, and Texas is a 2.5-point favorite. So the Vanderbilt picked up a point. That thing's went down to 1.5, back up to 2.5 now on some books, still 1.5 on some other books. That line hasn't moved. And that line last week, of course, was under the impression that Manning was going to play. We're following the book. The book would lean us towards the fact that everything's the same as it was a week ago. And I think everything that the writing on the wall, I know we haven't talked about Taft yet, and I don't think that's as large of a conversation from an injury perspective, because I think he just put a bat on his hand and he plays. But from the Manning perspective, you check the boxes off and you just listen and you read the writing on the wall. We might have got our answer, but I think tonight when the injury report comes out, it's going to say doubtful or game time decision.
Yeah, well, it will definitely be on pins and needles for it. I know that for Michael Taft, I'll bet you for Michael Taft, it says questionable, and I'll bet you what's going on behind the scenes is just this. The plan all along has been, let's let you get through this game. We were fine last week. They did that.
Most super explosive plays allowed since
no one's going to be fine whenever you play 87 plays or whatever it was, right? But the safeties, it wasn't like it was terrible. There was the one Manny Muhammad, Brendan Thompson burn where it felt like Jelani McDonald might have gotten sucked in a little bit to not get over the top. But it wasn't like the safety play was terrible last week with Phil Simi, Derek Williams, and Jelani McDonald. I figure what this is them saying, look, let's get through Vanderbilt. Let's get through the bye week. Let's have you back for Georgia. And then Michael Taft saying, no. I'm Michael Taft. I'm a Westlake Chaparral. I want to be back for Vandy.